Yeah, so Moondance. Had a few people ask me about Moondance. And I've seen some people asking about it on the Discord too, so I figured I'd just go over it for a few minutes before I do runs today. It's actually a really good way to warm up before runs. Just because of the different inputs you have to do. Okay, so first of all, when you first come in here, you want to kill these guys. The reason for that is that if you're building up speed, like Moonfall speed, and then you get hit by an enemy and then you lose it, so that's why you want to kill these guys. So I usually just do like a little jump to correct the door. I'll come from up here. Because if you don't do a jump, then the door has to center. So, just a little jump. You come in, kill these guys. It is technically possible to do it without killing them, but in my testing it wasn't really any faster. And the reason for that is if you don't kill them, then one of the bugs comes along the ceiling here. You have to stop to kill it anyway. So, this is how the blocks need to be set up. If they're not set up this way, then it's not going to work for a number of different reasons. So, yeah, you want to bomb in the second row up, and then bomb this one, if I can get it, so that you can get up into position here. This is nothing special, you just get into morph here and then push up to unmorph. You want to make sure that you're on the left side, and the reason for that, let's see if I can figure out a way to show this. Yeah, okay. So, the reason for that is that when you finish Moondance, you're going to end up like down below these blocks, and then you can use that to if you're not aligned to the center, you can use that to shimmy out like this, okay? But if you're in the center of the blocks, you can't shimmy out. Alright, so that's why you need to be in the left side. And that's actually why this block right here is situated here. So that as you're doing Moonfalls, Samus won't slide out. It's possible to do it without this block, this one, this block, but it's like a frame perfect kind of a thing, and doing that 176 times in a row is not practical for humans. So, okay, so there's two different setups. One of them is safer, and one of them is maybe faster if you're really good at it. Not necessarily, just kind of depends. So the first one, I'll go over the safer one first. You want to be holding angle and jump, okay? And then what you do is you start holding shoot, and you have Samus walk backwards to do a moonwalk, and then you let go of shoot, and she'll end up in this position, okay? At that point, you just turn around, do it again. 3, 4, 5, 6. You need to do that 30 times 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 20. Yes, Nick, for this method you have to do a 30. Because for this method you never let go of jump. So, after 30, you can just start going back and forth. So, hold shoot again, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. You need to do this another 146 times. It's 176 moonfalls total. So you just do this repeatedly. Make sure that you're holding to a direction before you let go of shoot. Otherwise, Samus will just do a normal turnaround. And that won't break like your fall speed, but it takes extra time because it doesn't build your fall speed either. So I haven't been counting here at all. I have no idea how close I am. But as you get more comfortable with it, you can go faster. The thing about going faster is that, well, I'll explain that in a minute. But basically, the faster you go, the more likely you are to mess up. And if you mess up in a certain way, you can actually get stuck and have to reset the whole process. So, I will go into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. So, once you've done it, Samus will end up on the ground there. That means that you've done enough moonfalls to get the speed necessary to build up, so it automatically pushes her down through. At this point, you need to make sure that you don't morph, you don't jump, you don't get hit by an enemy, you don't fall, like from arm pumping off a ledge. Basically, Samus has to just walk or run over to the position where you want to do the next moonfall. Okay? In this room, you just do one more moonfall, so it's easiest to just hold angle down, shoot, and then tap jump, and she'll fall through. If you position it correctly, which is like slightly to the right of that blue piece in the background there, then she'll fall through this block as well and end up down here. And then if after she falls through that block, you push down to change Samus's hitbox size, she'll actually fall all the way to the bottom of this room. So, okay. For the other method, Snick mentioned 25 of these initial moonfalls. The way that works is you hold angle and you hold jump, just like before. You only do 25 of these first ones. 10, 15, 20. Okay. And then what you do is you can actually let go of jump and you start holding shoot instead. You have Samus moonwalk backwards and then you tap jump instead of shoot. Okay? And you do this kind of a motion. It is technically, I think, easier to go fast with this motion. The issue is that it's also easier to mess it up, in my opinion. Because if for whatever reason you mess up one of the inputs, so like say that you press jump before you push to moonwalk backwards, okay? What will happen is Samus will jump straight, and then you lose your moonfall momentum, so you have to start over. The other thing is that it requires you to switch which buttons you're holding. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, which can get kind of confusing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 60, 70, 80. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but that's an example of what can happen if you're going too fast. Basically, every time Samus does a moonfall, she ends up in a crouched position. Okay. She ends up in this position for 1 frame. And then to get out of this position, you hold forward. Thanks, John. Hold forward, and she ends up standing up. If you push up to get out of this position, it actually resets fall speed. So you need to make sure that you're not pushing up to get out of that position. If you end up in this position facing to the right, and then you push left, which is what you would do if you were standing up, because you want to, reset and go again. Samus will actually slide under this block a little bit, okay? And now she can't stand up. She can't stand up to the left, she can't stand up to the right. So you're just stuck. So you either have to shimmy out or morph out and start over. So that's the biggest risk with going fast, is that you're going to end up trying to turn around before she's fully stood up, and then you have to start over. So, and that is possible to do in either scenario, either method. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's 30. Yeah. So again, keep in mind, like, she'll end up crouched on every single moonfall. If she ends up crouched on this one, you actually can turn around this way and be just fine. You can also push forward and be just fine. So it's just if she ends up crouched facing to the right that you need to make sure that you push forward to stand up. Generally, that's going to be too hard to do deliberately. So, hey Dirk. Anyway, trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover. I think that's it. So, yeah. I'm gonna do this a few times, as fast as I can. Generally, when I'm warming up, I do three successful Moondances, and then I move on. Yeah. So let's try and get under 90 seconds. That's kind of what you want, if possible. $88. Okay, cool. While I was doing that, I remember there is one more thing I want to explain. So, once you start going fast, after the 30, okay, so we're at 30 now. This is going to be different for everybody, because everybody's brain works differently. But what I do is I really focus on shoot first, then D-pad. Like, I just think really hard on that. So, shoot, D-pad, let go. And as long as you're, like, really focusing on that, you can get going pretty fast. And have it be relatively safe. But again, the faster you go, the more likely you are to mess up. So, like, I'm gonna go as fast as I can right here. And see, there's sometimes where I mess up and, like, I don't end up doing a moonfall. And that's okay, but there's probably going to be a point where I mess up the crouch thing. Yeah, okay. And at that point, like, you may as well just reset. If you do it early enough, you can salvage the run. So, like, if you end up in this, like, on the 35th moonfall or whatever, you can just reset and, like, reset your setup and do it again. And that will essentially, if you do it correctly, the second time will be just as fast as if you hadn't done the Moondance setup at all. But if you're racing against a PB that has Moondance, you may as well just reset at that point, because you've just lost all that time. So, yeah, I think that's everything. Let's see, I'm gonna try the harder method. Okay, see, so I just screwed that up right there. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, there's two ways that you can screw up with the harder method, and so you're more likely to screw up, whereas there's only one way that you can screw up with the easier method. So I think technically, like, you could save probably 2 or 3 seconds with the harder method if you did it perfectly. But maybe not. Okay. So I think that's it for the Moondance tutorial. Like I said, I'm just gonna do this a few more times, and then